Trump knows best. That's what he told Savannah Chrisley and her brother when he called them and said, hey, guess what, guys? I'm springing your parents out of prison. The stars of the hit reality show Chrisley Knows Best, Todd and Juli Chrisley, have been in prison for, well, a while now, and they were facing a very, very strict sentence for fraudulent loans and income tax evasion. They were both sent to prison a few years ago. Savannah and her brother have become fighters for their parents, as well as conservative activists. And Savannah Chrisley herself has made many appearances at various different events to fight for women's rights and to fight for her parents and to fight for conservatism in America. They got the good news from President Donald Trump yesterday, who called them to say, guess what? I'm pardoning your parents.
That's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing, but it's a great thing because your parents are going to be free and clean, and I hope we can do it by tomorrow. Is that okay? We'll try getting it done tomorrow. So
wonderful.
Give them, I don't know them, but give them my regards and wish them a good life.
Mr. President.
Yes. How are you?
I just want to say thank you for bringing my parents back.
Yeah, well, they were given a pretty harsh treatment based on what I'm hearing. Pretty harsh treatment.
Yes, sir.
Was your brother fighting also for this release, right?
Hey, I go to the University of Alabama, and I saw you speak, and I said, that's the greatest presidential speech I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, that's good. I was just there. I gave the commencement. What a great group of people. If you were in the audience, you have to be good. What a good school it was, and I love Alabama. You know, I love Alabama. It's that school is really, that was very impressive when I was there. Yeah, I think I did a good job. I got a lot of good comments on that one, so that's good. I love doing that with great young people.
Kicked out of class.
Yeah, he got kicked out of class for defending you. It was pretty interesting.
Gee, I'm surprised because University of Alabama, if we took a vote, I'd get 90% of the vote, right?
You sure would.
Exactly.
Maybe more, actually. But anyway, well, you keep fighting. Congratulate your parents.
Congratulations, Savannah.
And Alice had a lot to do with this. And just congratulate your parents. And I hear they're terrific people. This should not have happened. So, and you
Thank
just
you so
take
much.
care. Boy, they have good children. You're no longer children, but I'll say it anyway. They have good children, don't they? Huh?
Yeah, and Donald Trump getting into a little bit of Roll Tide action, but that's Savannah Chrisley. Again, she's a prison reformer. She's a realtor. She's a reality TV star. Her brother, who's a student apparently, also on the phone, getting the good news about their parents, Todd and Juli Chrisley, who will be released. President Donald Trump said, we're going to try to do it today. We're going to try to do it today. If that's all right, we'll do our best to get them out as soon as possible. No word on whether or not they'll be returning to television life, but I would imagine after a brief stint in prison and a presidential pardon, I imagine there'll be some studio that's knocking on their door and trying to get them back on television, because I mean, I would watch. I was a big fan of Chrisley Knows Best, and I'll be honest with you, a little embarrassed that I'm so excited for the Chrisley family, but it is going to be very exciting news. And thanks again to President Donald Trump for making it all happen. There was another bombshell report yesterday that came out from the Bitcoin convention where David Sachs, who is he's the Trump Bitcoin bazaar. He's the White House Bitcoin czar, and he's the one who's in charge of making sure that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency become a staple of the American economic plan and that we are dominant in the crypto sphere. We don't want cryptocurrency to be, we don't want to be left behind when it comes to cryptocurrency. When it comes to Bitcoin, we want to be the world leader, not the world follower. And so David Sachs is in charge. And David Sachs was talking to Jesse Waters on Fox News about how some senators and congresspeople have been trying to shutter the cryptocurrency market here in the U.S. And in doing so, he released some information about who potentially was behind the auto pen in the White House for the last 4 years.
This is the financial system of the future, Jesse, and we have to encourage it. What the Biden administration was doing, and let's face it, it wasn't Biden. Elizabeth Warren controlled the auto pen during that administration. She, for some reason, has this pathological hatred of the crypto community. She wants to drive this community offshore. She doesn't want it happening in the United States. That's the wrong policy for the United States. We want all the innovation happening here. This is a financial system of the future. It's cheaper, it's more efficient. We want it happening here, Jesse, and I think people are thrilled that President Trump is making that possible.
And Donald Trump sent David Sachs to the Bitcoin convention where he confirmed Elizabeth Warren Elizabeth Warren is the one behind the auto pen. Who knew? I would have thought Barack Obama. I would have thought Susan Rice. I would have thought Jake Tapper. I would have thought Jake Sullivan. Any of those people. But apparently it was Elizabeth Warren, at least when it came to the cryptocurrency space. And David Sachs is thrilled that she's nowhere near the White House anymore so that crypto can thrive in the United States of America. I wonder if there'll be investigations into Elizabeth Warren right now. I will not hold my breath, although wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if there were? So speaking of things that are great, the Consumer Confidence Index has been skyrocketing lately, and President Donald Trump has reached some new plateaus, reached some new levels that no president has ever reached before. And Caroline Levitt, White House press secretary, was super thrilled to share that info.
There is good news today. Consumer confidence hit a record high, and also the highly respected pollster Matt Rasmussen showed that the majority of Americans view our country as heading on the right track under President Trump. This is a stark contrast to what that same polling showed under the previous disastrous administration led by Joe Biden. As for the trade talks, since you mentioned them, I was just going back and forth with our United States Trade Representative Jamison Greer, who informed me that the Trump administration continues to be in intensive talks with India, and the president, of course, has applied very public pressure to the European Union so that they too can have a miraculous trade deal just like we cut with Britain and our friends in the United Kingdom. So we continue to move forward in cutting good deals that put the American people and the American worker first.
And that is something that President Donald Trump has always prided himself on. Good deals that put the American worker and the American consumer first. And consumer confidence is. It is. I mean, we are in a place that we've never been before. And Matt Rasmussen's poll says that the right track for the country numbers have hit 50% for the first time in history. For the first time in history, Rasmussen polling found that 50% of the country believes it is on the right track, just shy of President Donald Trump's 6-month mark into his second presidency. On the contrary, only 45% said the nation was on the wrong track. In comparison, around this time last year, under former President Joe Biden, 25% of respondents thought the country was on the right track, which means those numbers have doubled in just 1 year under President Donald Trump. Nearly 20 years ago, Rasmussen began tracking public opinion on whether the country is on the right or wrong track. Since 2006, the right track number had never reached 50% until now. Polling experts emphasize that this isn't a fluke. It's based on a 5-day rolling average indicating a sustained shift in sentiment. Mark Mitchell on X wrote, "Holy crap, it happened." For the first time in our polling history, a majority says the country is on the right track. Don't F it up, Republicans. He added, that's very poignant. If anyone's gonna drop us back down below 50%, it's the Republicans in the Congress and the Senate. But it's not just the consumer confidence. It's also what's happening with the tariffs. And Stephen Moran was doing the circuit, and he was talking about all of these tariffs and how they're not having the negative effect that people have been proclaiming. And by people, I mean Democrats and those in the media, which people would argue are the same damn thing.
Yeah, well, look, I don't think that in the long run, Americans are going to bear the burden of these tariffs at all. I think that's completely false. Because we didn't experience any macroeconomic inflation as a result of the 2018-2019 tariffs. There was zero sign of drag on economic growth, zero sign of macroeconomic inflation. And if you look at the inflation to date, we've been raising tariffs since the first day of this administration, and there's no sign of inflation thus far.
I mean, 2017 was metals, aluminum, it was steel, it was narrower.
China, 2018, 2019. China.
Narrower still. This is 10% across the board.
And let me tell you why. Okay. The reason why is because American importers have flexibility over where they buy from. They're currently buying from China. They don't have to buy from China. They could buy from any number of other countries that we strike trade deals with that treat us better.
Donald Trump just said Friday, I don't want Apple even making anything in other countries. I don't want them making U.S.-bound phones in India. So suddenly India is radioactive. And Vietnam, you can't, well, you moved it to Vietnam, that's not good enough. You've got to move it to the U.S. I mean, do you see what the critics of this are saying?
Look, the president is clear. He wants as much made in the USA as we can possibly do. Can we make everything in the world in the USA?
Fair.
No, we're not going to make everything in the entire universe in the USA. That's not going to happen, right? But we can make more here than we do. But the fact that we have this flexibility gives us the ability to force others to ultimately eat the burden of the tariffs. And that's what happened in 2018, 2019. And that's what's going to happen again now.
And that is exactly what Donald Trump's plan is. It's always been the art of the deal. It's always been, let's shoot for the moon and land on some stars. Let's make everything here in the United States. But if we don't, then we'll make a lot more than we are now. And it's not a bad thing to demand that iPhones be made in the U.S. or at least not in China. Because if they're made in India or Thailand or Vietnam or somewhere else, if we can negotiate a different deal for them to be made in a different country other than our arch nemesis who uses the money that they make from the iPhones to build a military that they're eventually going to use to try to take us down as the ultimate superpower, then that's probably not just an economic issue, but a good move as far as our national security goes. And national security is always the number one issue, because if you're not secure, nothing else matters. If someone's going to come over here and attack you or kill you, then it doesn't matter how much eggs are. It doesn't matter how cheap gas is. You're dead. Nothing else matters. So national security first. And then, of course, if you're going to live a long, illustrious life, which Donald Trump wants all of us to do, you're going to want some walking around money. So the economy comes in after that. And Stephen Moran was also echoing the fact that the consumer confidence is at one of the biggest levels ever. And that's no accident. That is premeditated economic policy by President Donald Trump and his advisors.
You know, the consumer confidence data this morning were really great. There's no other way to put it. It was the biggest jump since March of 2021, right? So very substantial improvement in consumer confidence. However, I came on your network and other networks pointing out when consumer confidence was down last time that the correlation between it and hard economic data was not as strong as it had been in the past. And I think what we're seeing is that those confidence data overreacted to the financial market activity, and now that financial markets are back, the confidence data are back too. But the bottom line is that Americans know that President Trump is a profoundly pro-business and pro-growth president. His administration is profoundly pro-growth. And just like last time, President Trump created a great economic boom through his policies, and the same thing is in the works this time. And Americans know that, and they're starting to understand that.
And that is why the consumer confidence and the right track level are so high. Now, speaking of Americans understanding what Donald Trump is doing and what Donald Trump's enemies are trying to keep him from doing, there's a big hubbub in Nashville where the mayor of Nashville has now been officially investigated over illegal immigration, aiding and abetting illegal immigrants. Congressman Andy Ogles has confirmed a federal investigation into the Nashville mayor's office. Two federal committees are going to be conducting an investigation into Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell for allegedly aiding and abetting illegal immigration. The congressman, along with a gaggle of Tennessee elected officials at the state level and representatives from law enforcement agencies, announced the Homeland Security and Judiciary Committees will look into the mayor, his conduct, and whether or not the city used federal dollars in criminal enterprise related to immigration. It's an ongoing escalation between community members and federal immigration authorities. Ogles called for an investigation into the mayor's office after O'Connell criticized a joint safety operation. And Tom Homan, who is the president's border czar, was asked about this. And he said, look, we don't care who you are. We don't care what you do. If you're aiding and abetting illegal immigrants, if you are committing crimes, if you are trying to stop us from doing our job, which is keeping America safe from foreign invaders, terrorists, gang members, thugs, murderers, rapists, all those people. If you're getting in the way, I don't care where you rank. I don't care if you're the governor of Colorado or the mayor of Nashville or anybody else. We will come and we will find you and we will hold you to justice.
Oversight is opening up a congressional investigation. I cannot confirm or deny if ICE is investigating him, but we'll see where it plays out. And it isn't just what he says, it's what he does. So, I plan on going to Nashville in the near future, and I said that from day one that we're going to hit every sanctuary city. Everybody that wants to push back against ICE, we're going to pay a lot of attention to them, because why? It's not a threat, but if you're going to support criminal aliens walking the street, then we know there's a problem there. We don't have that problem like Florida. We got Governor DeSantis 287G across the state. So we can spend less resources in Florida knowing we have a system to get criminal aliens in every jail in that state. But when we got places like Nashville who's pushing against it's getting the bad guy. That's where we got to concentrate our resources to make those streets safer. He ought to be thanking ICE for arresting the criminal aliens they arrested. They arrested, as you said earlier, a sex offender, several people that are convicted of violent crimes, gang members, and illegal aliens that were deported many times before, which means now they're a felon. We made his streets safer. Thank you would be nice, not attacking the men and women of ICE.
And that is something that is very difficult because on the federal level, you have this massive push by Donald Trump's administration to get rid of illegal immigrants and to secure the border and to make sure that these folks are deported. On the state levels, you have a lot of states, as he pointed out, like Florida and Tennessee, who are aiding the federal government. But then you have these local municipalities and these sanctuary cities, these blue Democrat-run districts that will do anything and everything they can to thwart Donald Trump's domestic policy of deporting illegal immigrants to keep Americans safe. And actually, in this scenario with Mayor O'Connell, actually aid and abet the illegals. It's very similar to the Democrats who fly, whether it's on government dimes or their own dimes, taking time out of their schedules when they should be working for the American people to fly down to El Salvador to try and meet with, although they mostly fail miserably, and bring back dangerous criminal, thug, terrorist, drug dealing, human trafficking, wife beating gang members. It's really a bizarre thing, but we will continue to fight. Donald Trump, Tom Homan, his entire administration will do what they pledged to do when they took the oath: protect the Constitution and the United States of America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. MS-13, Tren de Aragua, these are foreign enemies. Mayor O'Connell, other sanctuary cities, Elizabeth Warren, these are domestic enemies. Donald Trump and his administration are doing their darndest to make sure that you and your family are safe from both. And at the same time, that the economy looks bright ahead, so that while they're keeping you safe, they're also keeping some money in your pocket. Look, there's a lot more to cover, and we do cover it. And by we, I mean me. In my second daily podcast, Kaye Saves the Republic, you can hear it every single day. We're live at 1 p.m. Eastern. We live stream all the news that you need for the remainder of the day. And if you want to download it and listen to it at your leisure, you can do that too. Kaye Saves the Republic. It's available on iTunes, on Spotify, on wherever you get your podcasts. All you have to do is search Kaye Saves the Republic, download, listen, and enjoy.